what's up? This is MC Lars, and you're listening to the Long Entrance Podcast with Bilal Vakani. Wrestling talk, real conversations, and guests so big, they need their own entrance music. Take your time. The ring's waiting.
I am Bilal Vakani, and today I have Tom Brown, Group CEO of the Nodor, easy for me to say, group, and we're here to chat about the U.S. Dart Masters taking place at Madison Square Garden Thursday and Friday. I have to admit, Tom, when I think about darts, I don't necessarily think of the world's most famous arena. How did we get here? How did darts get here? What did you do to get darts to Madison Square Garden?
I mean, darts is not a new phenomenon. I mean, darts was actually brought back to the US at the end of World War II when the GIs had been playing it in London and the UK, and then they brought it back to the US after that. So it's been in the country 80 years, and it's been growing steadily ever since. But really, there's been a boom in darts since COVID, where people were at home, they were isolating or whatever, they wanted things to do. But what's really interesting is most of those hobbies that happened during COVID that people never did any time after COVID finished, that's not darts. Darts has carried on, continued to be a phenomenon since then. And actually, in some countries around the world, take the UK for example, it's actually the most viewed and watched sport behind Premier League soccer. So it's a big deal. And we see a lot of that trend over here happening in the US, which is really exciting. And actually, this is the 8th year that there's been a professional tournament here in the US. And you're right, this year at Madison Square Gardens, which is exciting to be there.
It's interesting because I talk a lot about wrestling, and Madison Square Garden is so legendary. Obviously, there's so many matches that happen there. I was watching Hacks, which is on Crave up here. It's on HBO down in the U.S. And the big storyline is Deborah Vance trying to get a show at Madison Square Garden and all the complications and all the marketing and stuff you have to do. And I guess what I'm getting at is I think of F1, right, as someone who produced the International Sports Report when I started my career 15 years ago or so. And I think of Drive to Survive on Netflix. And it's a very clear correlation. That's when F1 became huge in the US and everybody else was asking me about it. But it doesn't sound like there was a turning point, a middle target, if you will, for darts. One shot that really broke through. It just seems like it happened gradually. Like, obviously, the pandemic was an accelerator. Is that a fair characterization of what happened, or is there some great series I can watch on Netflix tonight?
I mean, I think that there are a few series. One's
A
called
couple.
Game of Throws, as you can imagine. But you're right. There's no one catalyst. I think COVID was one, but I think the difference, actually, maybe different to wrestling and different to other things, is that darts has been played for a long time. I mean, everyone I've talked to, I'm in New York at the moment. Everyone I've talked to today has really has said to me, "Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I had a dartboard on the back of my garage door or whatever." And so I think people are very familiar with darts. Everyone's heard of darts. So everyone's heard of darts. A lot of people have played darts. You see it in the bars. There are dart dedicated bars now, which have the lanes, and you can go in, you book a lane for an hour, whatever, you play with your friends. So this is it. So I think darts foundation is there. People play it. People are buying the equipment, and in that world, what's really changing recently is actually watching it as a sport. So the difference now is you've got the Professional Darts Corporation, supported by Winmore, one of our brands, and together, we are growing the professional sports business globally with professional players. So you have the game that people play at home, and then the sport that they watch on TV, and that's really exciting now. So I think it is a bit different from maybe wrestling or F1 as you mentioned, but it's certainly exciting to see that growth now coming through.
According to Amazon US data from January to April 2026, Nodor, and I'm saying the name of your group correctly, right?
Absolutely.
I want to be very
Absolutely.
respectful because you're
Yeah.
the CEO. But it's the leading dart brand of choice year on year, which demonstrates the strength of, and you just said it, the Winmore brand. I guess what makes you so special in this space, right? Because I think of golf clubs and certain brands, and I think of the quality of the gear. I think of the brand awareness. I think of the feel, the look, the style. You probably shouldn't pin it down, but what if you had to in a minute? What would you pin down? And feel free to list as many things as you like.
I'll keep it concise. For us, we've got a. I mean, we call ourselves a 107-year-old startup. I mean, our company was founded in 1919, and ever since then we've been innovating. So we innovated in 1933. We launched the first bristle board. In the 70s, we invented a new way to make tungsten, which is what the darts are made out of, in a much cheaper way, because a set of darts used to cost about a month's wages in the 70s. So we've really innovated all the way through to now. We have technology products that can do automatic scoring. So we've innovated, and it's a mixture of innovation. And we have 2,000 employees in Kenya making our products at the highest quality, hand making our products. So our products not only have innovation, but they're the highest quality as well, and that allows us to appeal to the new player. So someone that just wants to come in and try a dartboard and darts. You know, they come in and buy their first Winmore dartboard, perhaps, all the way up to we have a premium board called Blade X, which is the most advanced board ever made. So these sorts of things, we offer something for everyone in different price bands and different price points with different features, just allowing people to try the sport in different ways. And actually, one thing I know you'd be interested in is that darts players are always looking for marginal gains. How can they become a little bit better than their friends because they play socially in local academies or in the pub, or they have people around to play at their house? And now you can customize your darts. So you can get different weights of darts, you can have different point lengths, you can have different flight designs that go on the back, and each one of these flies slightly differently. And it might sound strange to perhaps people that don't play very often, but to find the right fitting, to have the right fitting of a dart makes a huge difference to your game and gives you that extra bit of confidence to play.
We're airing this on the Disability Channel as well, so I wanted to give you a chance to speak to the accessibility of darts. I could try to guess, but you'll be able to speak to it better than me because not all sports are as accessible to people, and I think that's very important to highlight.
Well, look, I'm so pleased you mentioned it because we're proud of the accessibility of darts. I mean, you mentioned golf earlier, and golf is a great sport, but it's a very expensive sport to get into, and you have to do a lot of things to just be able to hit the ball. My 7-year-old picked up a dart, threw it at a board, and hit the board straight away, and now he's hooked and he plays every day. So just the barrier to entry of this sport, it's a very cost-effective sport to get into. The equipment is not expensive. Anybody can have a go, and you can immediately compete. And that's the fun thing. And that's why the sport not only grew a lot before COVID, but during COVID, but that's why it's maintained the growth after COVID because people play it and it's fantastically fun.
I want to get a couple of things in here, but I should. We're halfway through here. But anyway, let's go because this guy, you already waited for me. For but you can visit Vinmore at winmau.com. Nodor Darts, spelled NODOR /darts. If you have trouble with that.com for news and a schedule of events. You can follow them on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Winmore Official. I'll spell Winmore one more time for everybody. WINMAU, and then you're going to add official to that, OFFICIAL, for more information. Obviously, I'm coming to you from Canada, so selfishly, and I kind of know because I Googled it, but what's your footprint like in Canada? What's the sport like in Canada? I guess from both a company and the sports standpoint, how are we doing up here in Canada? Because it is colder and we like to go indoors more, so I would think pretty good.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Actually, it's a summer and a winter sport because if it's the summer and you're in the southern part of the United States, you can't go outside because it's so warm. So you're inside playing darts. And then if you're in the north and it's winter, you can't go outside because it's too cold and you're inside playing darts. So it's great. And I think the wonderful thing about Canada is, you know, being part of the Commonwealth and darts being such a huge sport in the UK. You know, darts is pretty big in Canada, and that's great. And one thing that Winmore and Red Dragon really focus on is supporting the grassroots dart player. So there's a lot of academies. Just, you know, let's say you wanted to, after this podcast, you're inspired to go and play some darts. There'll be an academy near you. You can go and play. It's a very friendly and enjoyable environment. And then if you enjoy it and you want to play more and more, then you can go up into the amateur leagues, and then that's the path to go up into the professional league as well. So there's a real path for everybody. But we mentioned the US Masters here in Madison Square Garden earlier. And of course, there is the US Masters on Friday and on Thursday and Friday evenings. This is where you get 8 of the best players from Europe, 8 of the best players from North America, and they get mixed up and compete, and there's a winner. There's Canadian players in that, and then on Thursday afternoon, there's some of the regional players also from North America get to play off against each other, and they get a place in the world finals in December in London. And there's Canadian players in that as well. So just we really see Canada coming through strongly, both in the players but also the participation of the sport.
A silly question I really should have looked up before. Do you know offhand U.S. Canadian broadcast partners? I'll excuse you if you don't know Canadian offhand. That should really be my department. But even the U.S. broadcast partners would be great.
Yeah, I mean US is Peacock.
Wow, good, huge streaming partner.
Yeah.
And I apologize to all my Canadians for not having looked that up before. Please don't add me. Moving on swiftly. I mentioned you're the CEO of the Nodor group, for me to say. I guess we've got time here, and I put it at the end because it wasn't the most fascinating thing to me. But since we have the time, I'd love to hear about your journey to CEO. Obviously, the sport and Madison Square Garden is a little important, but we're lucky enough that you give great concise answers. So tell us about your journey before we go.
Well, maybe just before we do that, just so that next time we speak, the Nodal piece is easy to remember, because I think it's actually a fascinating story. When the company was founded in 1919, this was before the modern day dartboard was invented by us in 1933, and the dartboards used to be made out of clay. And actually, what was really interesting was, you had these clay boards in the bars, and they would kind of smell. So what would happen is our company invented and launched in 1923 the first clay dartboard that didn't have an odor, had no odor, Nodor. So that was really the background of how the company was formed in terms of the name, all the way back there 107 years ago, like I mentioned. So yeah, my background is very much focused on high growth transformation businesses, and Nodor was acquired by private equity last year. So a lot of investment gone in. We built a really top talented team here to accelerate the growth even further. We're focused on geo expansion. We're bringing a lot of technology in so that we're able to bring a much better sort of digital experience to dance players. Because what people want to do, you mentioned it earlier, people are at home, it's cold, they're playing darts, but maybe you want to play your friend who's 5 miles away or 5,000 miles away in another country. And if he has a setup, what we call an auto scoring setup, and we actually acquired a company last year called Auto Darts. So if you have your Auto Darts set up in your home, and I have my Auto Darts set up in my home in London, then we can play online each other. We can also play digital tournaments online. There's thousands of tournaments that we put on every day that you can go online and be part of. So just growing the digital journey of this business, hiring top talent, is something that we're really, really focused on to continue to drive the growth.
Wow. Selfishly, because I have a little 1-year-old at home, and I know there's probably stuff on the dart boxes that say whatever plus. Between you and me and everybody else listening, how quickly can you give a kid dart? Like how early, if we wanted to push it forward a little bit, right? Because it's when they're 1 and they're walking around, and she's almost 1.5, and they want to do everything. Anything you can give them is great. So how early would you say, or would you just stick to the labeling?
Always stick to the label, listeners. But I also think, well, what's great is, so we work with the PDC. So Winmore is the official partner of the Professional Darts Corporation, but Winmore is also the professional partner of the JDC, the juniors. And we work with these with the juniors that come up and end up being professionals. So many of these juniors start playing when they're really young. I mean, I don't know what the legal age is that you should be throwing a dart, so I maybe won't mention a specific age, but
smart.
they start really young. But also, it's steel tip darts is probably the most popular way to play darts, but there's also soft tip darts. So these are darts that have a soft tip and a soft tip dartboard, and that's automatic scoring as well. So there's really something for everyone. And if you're a bit worried about getting your kids to play darts with steel tip darts, then of course you can get them going on soft tip darts at at a reasonable age, maybe not any age you want.
No, it's good to know because I didn't even think of soft tip darts. I was just thinking I'm going to start wearing goggles around the house, and everybody else already has them, so it's okay.
But I think we have players as young as 6 in our Team 360, which is our sort of academy, our young academy, where we help develop young talent. So I think it's as young as 6 and around there. So that's how early they get in.
Tom Brown. He is the group CEO of the Nodor group. See, and now you explained the whole odor story, and then I said it some weird fourth way. So just forgive me.
It's okay.
More importantly, the U.S. Dart Masters are taking place at Madison Square Garden Thursday and Friday. You can watch it on Peacock in the U.S. And if you at me, I'll find the Canadian stuff for you. I owe everybody that. So you can at me, Google me, and I'll go open up my guide and I'll find it for you personally in Canada. The rest of the world, you're on your own. Tom, it's been a great pleasure. As I said, I started my career producing the International Sports Report. So I was watching F1 when Mercedes was just destroying everybody and nobody cared. I was watching soccer when it used to, the Premier League used to be on Canadian TV. That's not the case anymore. And I could go on and on with rugby league and rugby union stories. So this pretty much completes my international sports souffle. And I'll be sending a message to the host and creator of that show that why the hell did you not have darts? But he's a former rugby player. So I think we both know why. But thank you for this.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks for having us. That's great.